Hey, it's Rick again, part 2 on how to write an expositional sermon. In this particular video, I wanted to just talk to you about the geography of your message, how the page is laid out, and geography for what your paper actually looks like as you bring this to the stand, the pulpit, wherever it is you're going to be preaching from your iPad, from your phone, whatever. It's very important because of what happens to you when you get yourself in front of other people. Regardless of how much experience you have as a public speaker, something similar happens every single time. When we get in front of other people, that tends to be a very scary event for everyone. And what happens to us is this fright, flight, freeze, fight thing takes over us all the time. We become afraid for our lives. And so our higher brain functions shut down, and we tend to get tunnel vision, and we tend to want to get out of there as quickly as possible. We want to run away, basically. We can't think about anything. So, and that happens to everybody. The best speaker, why would you say, sometimes you're in a message and your pastor just preaches very, very quickly, not really into it. Maybe you're not really feeling it from him. He doesn't seem to be on his game. What's going on? Every single time somebody gets in front of people to talk, this kind of goes on on a big level or in a small level. I mean, if you're just getting up in front of your family to talk, you're not going to be experiencing it too greatly. But when it really, really matters, if you haven't learned the geography of your messages and you haven't got a particular style in place, it's going to be very hard when you're caught in the moment for you to be able to talk through your message, because when your human brain shuts down a little bit, you get tunnel vision. Eventually, if you're so anxious about it, you can't read anymore. When people get in front of others to publicly communicate to them, they literally lose the ability to read. We get into tunnel vision and we only see pictures, depending on how nervous we are. Now, obviously, with practice and with time, this really goes away, but it's still always there, okay? So sermon geography, how your sermon looks like, how your message, your talk, your speech looks like on paper is so vitally important, because you want some landmarks. Because remember, when you get in front of people, you lose the ability to read sometimes, depending on your level of scaredness. And so when you get into that moment, you can't read, you're looking for pictures. So I'm going to give you a way to help calm you down when you're in front of people so that you can look for pictures, you can identify those pictures, and you'll get calm enough to regain the ability to read. And if you're not a public speaker and this sounds silly to you, you just got to trust me. No, you don't got to trust me. Find your own audience and get up there and go up there with a speech, and you see how well you do, okay? This is real stuff, real practical stuff that I'm talking about here. Okay, so this is what every single one of my expositional messages, as I take to the pulpit, to the stand, whatever, this is what they all look like. So you see, for filing purposes, I have the top, subject, theme, type, text right there. So subject at the top left here. That's where, again, so you went through the first video, you know what subject is, you write it there. The unique theme about that subject, you write it just below right there. That's so that if you wanted to look for a message later on and you said, hey, I already preached that live somewhere, then you can go back through your file, however it is you file these things, and you can borrow from that for content that you might want in a new message that you're creating. Of course, it's much easier for us these days, because particularly during COVID, a lot of our messages are ending up on YouTube. So we just go back to the YouTube videos. But you're going to want this for easy reference later on. This particular type that I'm teaching us today is exposition. So in type, EXP or EXPO, exposition. Text, that's where your Bible's coming from. And then in all caps, if you want to, just whatever, put the title of your sermon there. Every single sermon needs a title. You may never share this title. I very rarely share the title of any of my messages, but again, it's for my purposes when I'm filing them. So if I'm coming back to try to refresh my memory, but what I said to an audience because they've got questions and they're disagreeing with me, and maybe there's some critics in the crowd, I go back to my notes and I see what the title is. It jogs my memory. That's what I was talking about. Okay, so then after we've got the administration part, okay, the top of your message, purely administration. If you're in front of a crowd and you are losing the ability to read, and you need to calm down, just remember that's only for administration purposes. You see what looks like that thing right there, and you see that as a picture and say, that's not what I need. Okay, so then intro, right underneath the title comes the intro. Remember, you don't write the intro first, right? That's just where it shows up on the geography of your message. After you've just spent a great deal of ink, of type, or whatever writing your message, then you take your study notes and you copy and paste them or whatever into this this way of presenting your message. Okay, so introduction. So again, you see that. So in the way that I do an introduction, I like, for expositional purposes, I like to do the Andy Stanley thing. Me, you, God, you, we. I like that, and this is how I break it down here. So in the introduction, I start by talking about me, some kind of funny application, some kind of life experience, and then I go to you. Have you noticed the same thing? What's your experience? And I instantly get it off me and onto them to see if there's shared experiences here. The text goes right there. Every single message looks the same every single time, so that when you can't read, when you don't remember how to read, when you're in front of people, you always know the geography of your paper, and you only have to look at this as an image. You don't have to read this, okay? So after that, it's the text. If you're trying to figure out where's my text from, boom, it's right there. You can see it. I actually paste the text into here, and I do that again for another very practical reason. When I'm in front of people, and if anxiety does come on, if I'm too afraid because I don't know the audience well, there's some hecklers in the crowd, it's somebody's caught me off guard, I don't know. Sometimes when I open my Bible in front of people, I can't read either, and so I paste the Bible onto my sermon, and I usually preach from an iPad these days, or it was anyways before COVID, and it's just right there. And then proposition comes right underneath text. Once you have read your text, that's where the proposition goes. This is what you are proposing is the message, is the point of the message, and then you might want to give an explanation underneath the proposition. Right underneath that is the transitional statement. Remember, we talked about those. Transitional statement to get you from proposition into your points in more of a natural, flowy kind of way. And then you have your main points. I've got two right here. There's 2 points. Do it at the same time, every way flat against the left. And then for your sub points, you're going to, every single sub point is going to be, you don't want anything else touching the left side of your paper except for your big ideas, your big points. You don't want content touching the left side of the paper. You want guide marks, guide points, intro, text, prop, points that get snuggled up to the left side, because you're looking for visuals. That's your visual cue that this is a guidepost in the message, and it helps you get your bearings as to where you are in the delivery of this thing, okay? And then once you're into your subpoints, every single one of those, they get sent out. They get indented, and they never touch the left side. Why? Geography. You want to try to find your place in your notes, which also gives you a mental cue about where you are in your message, okay? So then after you've done that, conclusion, right back on the left side of the paper again. And again, underneath conclusion, you're going to duck those out to the right. Then in the conclusion, I restate the proposition. You're going to want to do that too. And then it's the you and the we. Refer to the first video for those. This is you. This is what it means for you. This is what it means for us. Then you notice at the very, very bottom, got this 1, 2, 3. For easy reference, for easy access. If you're off your notes and you're just kind of going for it, and you're completely off the paper, maybe you would say the Spirit's just moving and you're just into it, and God's just saying what He wants to say, okay? And you don't want your notes, but you do want some kind of friendly guidepost to get you from A to B. Anyways, you put your 3 main points at the very, very bottom of the message. So if all else fails, just go to the very, very bottom of your message where you've got 1, 2, and 3 just laid out right there, and then you can. And if you wanted to also abbreviate your message, take a 30-minute message down to a 2 to 3 to 5-minute message. Just go straight down say your proposition, go straight down to those 3 points, and you read the text, and you're out of there. basically. So the geography of the paper is of your message is very important. Again, what I'm doing here by teaching you geography of a sermon is I'm giving you a heads up that speaking in front of people is very, very hard. And when you're speaking in front of people, something happens to your mental capacity. Your psyche changes. Okay, stuff is done to your brain that you don't have much control over. And I know that, I've been speaking, public speaking since I was 21. I'm 47 now. And there are still times that I get into this where I have to tell myself when I'm in front of people, I've got to tell myself, calm down. I need to tell myself, slow down. I need to tell myself, these aren't my enemies here. These are my friends. This is a wonderful opportunity. I need to just take a break, take a stand back so that I can regain my ability to read. And then I look at the geography of the paper. If you will commit to this geography for your sermons, that they all look like this, then it's going to do you so much in the times ahead. Okay, so all of this being said now, exposition. Here's my personal feeling. The exposition sermon has been wonderful for so many years, certainly all through modernity, as pastors came to the pulpit as the experts who need to deliver information to be received by the congregants. The expositional sermon was ideal, was perfect, was wonderful. It's not that today. I mean, it's still a great way of organizing thoughts, absolutely, but we need something way more than an exposition, because an exposition tends to be the delivery tool of an expert, somebody who wants to get in front of a group of people and say, this is what I know, and now you know it, because when I'm done with you, you're going to know it because I'm telling you what to know. That's a horrible way to speak these days, and it's not really well received. I find these days that starting with an inductive study and working on me personally first, and then moving that inductive study into talking points is a better way to go. I still use the expositional method in that approach, but I find that I never now speak to people by starting with the exposition method, ever. I start with an inductive approach to the passages, so that the Bible first speaks to me. I first wrestle with the Bible on my own. I find the application. I find out ways that I need to change. I'm hurt by the passage if I need to be hurt by the passage. I'm blessed or encouraged by the passage if I need to be, and I own that for myself. I bring my whole self to the passage and I own it. And then from that perspective, then with that experience, gaining that personal experience with the text, how it's changed me either by what I think, what I feel, what I need to do, then I bring that information, that experience with me into speaking to people, so that I'm no longer speaking as an expert. I've had this experience, and I think that this experience might be something that you can identify with. And I think that we can experience this together, but you may have a completely different and unique experience, and that's okay too. Maybe you'll see something in here where you and I can connect on. And if you see this text very differently than me, that's okay, because we're all just bringing our opinions to this, but here's what it said to me. Let's see if we can talk about this. So a more of a conversational approach is better. So these days, I would not start with exposition. I would know the exposition method, but I would start with an inductive study approach on the text. Let it just own that thing. Let it eat you alive. Let it deal with you as you need to be dealt with. And then as a co-journeyer, I would share this is how the text affected me, and then use the exposition then, not as an expert delivering all of your opinions that you came up with. Use the exposition approach, then the exposition method then, as a way to organize your thoughts. And share about your experience, the experience that you had with the text, instead of your thoughts through the text and how it's made you an expert to tell people what to do. Okay, so there you go. That's my comment on expositions. Okay, if you don't have a community that you're connecting with, would you please consider connecting with us at For Community, creating community spaces so you can connect with others and also with God. Looks like we're going to be online until 2021, because it looks like that's what we need to do during this moment, and we all seem to be embracing it fairly decently. So if you wanted to connect with our community, and listen, if you want to connect with me too, because you are a public speaker and you're trying to figure out your way, or maybe you're a pastor in the making, a church planter in the making, and you wanted a little bit of help and guidance and a mentor or a coach to help you write sermons, that's fine. That's fine. I eat that up alive, man. Like, that's awesome. I love doing that stuff. So you reach out, tag me in a comment on YouTube, and because this is only on YouTube, I don't share this anywhere else. Tag me in a comment, and I'll either answer some of your questions on YouTube, or depending on how busy I am, I may actually invite you to have coffee with me on Zoom, just to hash out some ideas and to coach you through. Not tell you. I can't tell you what to do, because this is an art more than it's a science, man. But I can certainly coach you and help you along the initial learning curve of you writing your own stuff. That's it from me. Talk to you later.